Now, attempts to the vote-rich Mount Kenya region is on, with presidential aspirants making a stab at the politically charged region. Tonight on Pandit's Night, we speak to former Kiambu Governor William Kabogo, who is also the party leader of Tujibebe wa Kenya Party. Keep talking to us, send us a message on 22047. As always, remember your voice matters. The hashtag to use is Pandit's Night. Let's get to the discussion now. Mheshimiwa, good evening. Thank you for your time tonight on TV47.
Good evening, and I'm happy that you chose to invite me to come here this evening. And I hope we shall have a candid discussion about Mount Kenya, because many people talk about Mount Kenya.
All right, and let's start talking.
But not all of us understand the politics of Mount Kenya.
And let's start talking of Mount Kenya and its unity talks from Pan-Afric, Nyeri, Embu, Meru. What really is the outcome, Mheshimiwa, of these Mount Kenya unity talks?
You know, we've been talking as leaders of the region. I'm actually a pioneer member of the initial group at Pan-Afric. And that resulted in several meetings that you mentioned, you know, Lusoi, Nyeri, Meru, and of course, later we joined up with Mother Karoa and others, and we went to Naivasha. But since then, we haven't been able to meet. The difficult part of our meetings is that, you know, Kenyans, politicians, we're very selfish. We always think about ourselves first. Not about the issues that we should be thinking about in terms of leadership of the mountain. But be that as it may, we are progressing well. But there are things that are emerging now in those discussions that most of us, besides thinking about what it is that will make the region a better place, and by the region I mean the people of the region, we are thinking about a government that will consider us, amongst other Kenyans. Why you find Mount Kenya is very charged now is because of the numbers. We have our strength, and that's why I keep telling our people, you should understand that our numbers is our strength. And if we are divided, then we cannot have that strength.
All right.
We will be divided as usual. We've seen this since the Moi era, where it became a hunting place for votes. And once, even if we have 9 million votes and we are divided, those votes will never help the region. So I want to urge our people, relax, just hold your horses. There's still time to discuss about our mountain and what it is that we can get out of any government.
You say we are still talking.
Yes.
If one is to ask, what are these talks aimed at? Presumably it will be to unify the region, isn't it?
Besides unity, we've seen governments. People say we have had, you know, the region has produced presidents. And I disagree with that perception, because the presidency is, the president is a seat given to a person, not to a tribe. So
the president comes from a certain tribe.
It doesn't matter. Somebody will always come from somewhere. And once the seat is given to a person, it is not given to that person because he is of that tribe. It is given to that person because Kenyans have seen he has the capacity to take the nation to the next level, not his tribesmen. It is very peculiar thinking and very backward thinking, so to speak, that are you telling me today that there will be, you know, people in Gatundu, no one goes hungry, no children miss school because of fees, because the president comes from Gatundu? That is very backward thinking.
But Mheshimiwa, in a multi-ethnic country where our tribes have been a source of diversity and at times a bleak source of division, is it not worth to appreciate that the first, the third, the fourth president comes from a certain community?
What pisses me most is when we only think about tribes when it comes to elections. Any other time, we are Kenyans and we're okay and we're good, we'll go about our business. When is it that we will stop talking about tribes? When is it that we'll look at the leadership, at the helm leadership of the country, as the leadership taking the country to the next level, not taking a tribe? And this tribal card is only a tool for divide and rule. Why is it that Mheshimiwa Raila and Mheshimiwa Ruto are always now in central Kenya? Why not anywhere else? Why not Mandera, if I may ask? It's because of these numbers. And this is where we are saying people of the mountain, use your, upstairs. Let's relax and tell these guys, come and tell us what it is you want to do for Kenyans. And as you do for Kenyans, what is in it for us from the mountain? We are the largest block in terms of revenue generation. The largest. But what share do we get out of the revenues of the country? What is our share? If you look at the issue of distribution of resources in the Republic, you will find that the most populated places, Nairobi, Kiambu, Mombasa, Nakuru, Kisumu for that matter, are the most disadvantaged in terms of funding. Recently, we had an issue in BBI, and that's why I was supporting it, where we were suggesting that money must be divided in terms of, one man, one vote, 1 shilling. Utumishi kwa wote means utumishi to wote, the Republic. But you will find a place like Turkana with this population, I think, of under 200,000 people in terms of voter registration, has more money than Kiambu with 2 million votes. What justice is there in the Republic? It doesn't mean that if people are rich in Kiambu, 10%, that everybody else is rich.
But is it not a region that will be pointed at to say this is a region the first, the third, and the fourth president came from? That at least will matter.
And I say that is cheap thinking, because our Katiba is so simple. It says there shall be elections of a president. For you to vie for president, this is what you require. And it is universal suffrage. It is an issue of majority will vote for who. 50 plus 1, 25% of 24 counties. If you miss that in the first run, you go to the second run, and it is purely simple majority. So those Kenyans you refer to as the first, the third, and the fourth are Kenyans who went to the ballot and were elected by Kenyans. It is us who make it look funny when we start talking about tribes. Are you telling me that we should have a rotational presidency? Then put it in the Katiba. It is as simple as that.
Mheshimiwa, let's get back to Mount Kenya Unity talks. The Right Honorable Martha Karua has been termed as the convener, which has led...
Apparently, actually, I am the one who nominated her as
a convener, isn't it?
Yes.
So let's get her...
A convener has a duty.
And let's get the duties right. To convene.
Yes.
Was that indicative of an endorsement of her to be a deputy of anyone?
Never. This I have seen today and yesterday. It's been all over social media. Moses Kuria, the Honorable Moses Kuria, suggesting that in his opinion, which he's entitled to, is that Martha would make the best. I don't know whether it's an arrangement between him and her, or it's just his opinion, which I have no issues with. But we made her a convener of the Mount Kenya Unity Forum. And recently you saw me writing in my social media platform that I disagree with a writing that was done by Moses Kuria, stating that we are demanding 8 I think, positions of ministerial positions. That is something we have never discussed. As a matter of fact, we have never met since we went to Naivasha. So it would be wrong for anyone to use the Mount Kenya Unity symbol to say that we have discussed these issues. But everyone is entitled to their opinion. And again, I want to remind Kenyans, a running mate is the sole responsibility of the candidate himself. So if I want to choose Moses Kuria or Martha Karua as my running mate, it is me. I negotiate with that person and find out, do you want to join me in this race? And if you agree, it is a personal thing. It is not a matter of us. Nobody has sent anyone from Mount Kenya to go and negotiate for a deputy position. Why would you be doing that? Because some of us in Mount Kenya would want to be president. I would want to be president. So I have not sat anywhere with anyone, and I will not entertain that as a subject where I will be sitting, that we need to go and negotiate for positions. This is what takes us backward. Kenyans leaders want to just think about positions. When is it we will think about the next generation? When are we going to remove all these boys and girls in the streets? When is it that we will be able to say we're a middle-class economy? When is it that we'll stop these, handouts that are given by government in form of kazi mtaani? And it's because people are jobless. That is only a way of government distributing money to the jobless. I mean, to the very big, large community that is not working. So I would hate to imagine that we, as the largest bloc, can only sit and think about negotiating for ministerial positions. All right. We have had these positions before. All
right. You say ministerial positions. You have refuted claims of some say in Martha Karua will be a deputy to anyone, which begs the question, is the presidency on the table amongst these unity talks?
Well, we have said anyone. In the last several meetings we have attended, we said we are opening up the space for anyone. If you feel you can be president and you want to vie, it is your constitutional right. So we have not said in those meetings that we are saying no one will. You cannot stop Kenyans. There are 47 million of us. Those that are qualified in accordance with the constitution are free to do so. So those are far-fetched dreams of people on how they would want to manipulate others. But I'm telling you, we are cleverer than that.
All right, Mheshimiwa, we're talking of this region primarily because of the numbers as a voting bloc, which is very determinant and weighty when it comes to who becomes the president of this great republic. Let's talk of the region and its parties. And lately we have seen an influx in the number of parties from that region, from the Tujibebe party of Kenya to NAK Kenya, Mwangi Wairia's Usawa party, Mwangi Kiunjuri's TSP, Kiraitu's BAS, Muturi's DP party. Should this be pointed as a region that is divided, or is it the strength of democracy that anyone can have?
I'll tell you this. When we went to Naivasha, as we were checking in for the meeting, we met pastoralist counties, I think 5 of them. They had a meeting there to discuss their unity. Nobody talks about these things. Nobody talks about them. It's only when Mount Kenya starts talking, people start panicking. What's wrong with having parties? We fought for multi-party democracy in '92. It was one of the biggest gains ever in the Republic. And there is a tendency of people wanting to take us backwards so that we can go back to the Moi era of Kano Mama, Kano Baba. That will not happen. I have my party, I have my own reasons why we have started this party with people who are like-minded. We have formed Tujibebe wa Kenya Party because Kenyans generally are people who just sit, do elections, and start complaining. We want you to own your elections. We want you to own the path of development that the country will take. So use your vote, Jibebe. Take yourself to the ballot and elect a leader who will serve you in a manner that you would want to be served. It's not a question of euphorias, come elect and then go, and then you start complaining for 5 years. Jibebe ili tujenge taifa. That is the motto of this party that I started.
All right, and it's good that you have talked about that party.
And it's good that every other person has a party. You mentioned quite a number of them. It is not new. These parties are over 75 parties in the Republic. Over 50 of them were there in the previous elections. But when it comes to Mount Kenya, and people think we don't have a presidential candidate, this is where now people start developing interest. Why are you starting all these parties? Why don't you fold your parties and come to us? You deal with your party, let me deal with my party, and let Kenyans choose amongst these parties which are the parties they would want to be in.
All right, and talking of Tujibebe, I was watching another interview in another media house that you did, and you said, and I quote, this party will be the watchman party.
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
What I meant is you can see the problems we have in the National Assembly where, MPs have become rubber stamps. They just go there and pass bills in accordance to the plans they have, especially when it comes to a bill that is government-sponsored. You'll see a lot of intimidation and all those things that they must vote in a certain way. I am telling Kenyans, can you imagine where the presidency or the executive controls the entire house in terms of membership? such that every member of that house is a member of that ruling party. When is it that you would ever say no to anything that is obviously wrong, obviously not good to be done? How would you ever say no? You'll be kicked out. So I'm saying, make Tujibebe party, or Jibebe in short, your watchman party. Give us MPs to go to the house, and you will see changes in that house. And if they would ever vote in a manner that is not within our code of conduct, that person will return back to sender. And the sender would be Wanjiko, for Wanjiko to bring in a new person. So, and then we shall instill discipline in members of parliament. It will be a manner of getting people to start doing what it is they're supposed to do. The primary duty of an MP, primary duty, is to see that Kenyans are not taxed without representation. That is one. Two is to oversight. How do you oversight the executive and you're bound by one party? You know, look at Israel. Israel has had 3 elections in the last 5 months. Why? It's healthy. You will never get these things these people colluding to do bad things to the nation. Right now, we have a crisis in this country. People have lost jobs. 1.92 million people have lost jobs due to COVID. We have seen now recent Gikomba fires every other time. We've seen that the entire town, the side of the district of Nyamakema, you will find that shops are empty because Kenya Revenue Authority has taken over businesses and taken their money. All these things are happening, and the National Assembly is watching. I was actually surprised this morning. I saw somewhere in the papers where a certain judge is telling KRA, you're killing businesses. When is it that these MPs will be able to say anything? And if you look at an MP as an oversight body against an executive, if you happen to do these things and you're from the same party with the president, you will have problems. And I'm telling these people who are telling us in Mount Kenya, come fold your parties and join us. We will not do it. We will take members of parliament to oversight you in the event you get to become president. And I would also want, if I would ever become president, that we have other parties that have members of parliament who will be able to check what it is that we are doing. Checks and balances are necessary in any democracy. All right.
Mheshimiwa, in your response earlier on, you said members from that region having political parties is part of their democratic rights.
Correct.
I'm sure you must have heard of the argument by some saying that that region is solely behind candidate X and Y, hence all should belong to that party.
You know, I see
people
saying funny things like, oh, Limuru locked. Because Raila was there with so many people, so this other place locked because William Ruto was there. That is nonsense. To be honest, every man talks about their votes. Every man has one vote. We've had people saying, no, we're waiting for President Kenyatta to show us who it is, who will succeed him in the mountain. President Kenyatta has only one vote. He can only recommend and say, according to him, this is what he thinks. And I don't think I want him to recommend me. Because if he does, it has his own shortcomings. You remember how President Moi recommended Uhuru Kenyatta. Did he make it? He never made it. Why? Because it was a project. But when he got out of that project status, people voted for him and he became president. So really, Mount Kenya is rich in terms of vote. But if us people of Mount Kenya do not think, we will just be like any other place that has small votes, because if we are divided the way we are divided now, we will not matter in the next dispensation or how to put together government. But I'll tell you this, if we are together, and people know it, if we are together as a mountain, as a block, and we decide this is where we'll go, no one will form government without us, and that's a fact.
All right, and given that the president has been somewhat actively been involved in his succession, 2 weeks ago, he spoke in Mount Kenya region using his native mother tongue, saying, and I quote, "Please don't allow Mwai Kibaki's 10 years and my 10 years to be destroyed by electing thugs and thieves." The president, for purpose of clarity, did not make reference to any politician, despite some quoting sections. Does the president, let me ask you this, Mheshimiwa, does the president have an active role when it comes to guidance of who should succeed him from that region?
In my mind, and correct me if I'm wrong, I would say he has a responsibility or a right to speak. And if he speaks in that manner, he should be able to tell Kenyans, this is why I say this. This is why I think this way. He should have a persuasive discussion where he persuades us to go one way or the other and give us facts and probably figures. But he will not just come and say, I want you guys to go this way. We will not, because that's not who we are.
And given that he was speaking using his mother tongue, which seemed as though this was a message tailored to a certain audience.
He's reaching to his people because they speak that language. He was in that place. But you'll find other people saying, why is the national president speaking in a mother tongue? What is wrong with that if you're speaking to a particular corner? Yes. I may know how to speak Somali and or Kihindi. When I enter into a room full of Indians and we're all speaking Hindi, it would be nothing wrong in me addressing them in Hindi, which I would be conversant in at that point in time.
And to the
so
audience,
there's nothing wrong with the president trying to tell the people of Mount Kenya what he thinks. I don't find anything wrong with that.
And
the
to
only
the
thing
audience,
is I would to tell Kenyans and tell the president himself, it is not because of him that we will vote the way we will vote. He has to work very hard to convince Kenyans or people of this area where he comes from on why he thinks we should go one way or the other. And that to me is neither here nor there.
Fair enough. And to the audience whose that message was intended to, Mheshimiwa, do they have a right to listen to him and follow what he says as the leading political figure from that region? Free
state, free democracy, free speech. Kenyans are free to listen to whoever. You know, there is nowhere in our constitution that states that there are certain people who will not speak in certain places or in certain languages. We only say in our Katiba that the Swahili is our national language. But you will find every one of these politicians, when they go to the Luya land, they will say, oh, Mulembe. They will go to Kamba, Wasiata. You know, they come, Raila was in Kikuyu land the other day, Molega. You know, it is normal. But you see, when it comes to a situation where the president is a Kikuyu and is speaking in Kikuyu to Kikuyus, it's a problem. But when you hear Luya night, Luo night, Sigalagala, Sijui, what, all these things, they happen every other day. But no one complains. But when Mount Kenya speaks, people start shivering. Relax, guys. We are just Kenyans like every other.
The question, Mheshimiwa, was, should the region follow the direction he guides it?
We don't have to. I said it.
Is there a possibility of following what he says then?
He should be persuasive. He should be able to convince me, Kabogo, why he thinks I should vote either for myself as Kabogo or for Raila or for Ruto. He should be able to speak to us as a Kenyan. But we are not bound by his statements. That's all. I am not. I first speak for myself, and I would want to imagine that that is a feeling of every other Kenyan. Because remember, the Katiba says there shall be a general election every 5 years. And we specifically put a date because of how Moi played with these things. Every 5 years, the second Tuesday of August of every 5th year. We even know the date. And what is the reason of going to elections is for Kenyans to choose who are the people who will represent them. Kenyans. It is not written there incumbent.
Fair enough.
Neither is it written there the leader of opposition. It is Kenyans. And that's why I say here, Kenyans, please, Tujibebe. You know, go to the ballot and elect your leader. Because the minute you sit at home and you don't participate, then it means you're giving a chance to bad leadership. So be responsible for the leadership that will come in this country. And if you vote wisely, then you will be happy. If you don't, then please shut up for the next 5 years as those that you're allowed to pass do what it is that they will do.
All right, Mheshimiwa, we still have a lot to talk about, but I understand we need to take a short break here on Pundits Night. Keep talking to us. Send us a message on 22047. The hashtag to use is Pundits Night. Time for us to take a short break. Stay with us. This discussion will be back after this break.
DStv7, the home of untold stories.
Onaje your gift.
Entrepreneurs around the country are creatively grinding.
I started with a borrowed phone.
A borrowed phone?
Yeah, that could last 2 hours with charge.
We just have to do quality work for them.
To make their mark in an unpredictable market.
It was now going on a sales venture, looking for stockists door to door.
On the grind, we bring you their stories so you can tell yours. Every Monday at 7:30 p.m. Men are known to be the pillars.
We're rising up together.
Say your point.
You need an alpha male now to come and help you and your girl.
Anaongea zero.
And women, they are the cornerstone that hold the pillars.
Don't be entitled. A man is peaceful, a man knows how to talk to a lady.
This November, the Men's Conference brings a cocktail of diverse ladies to weigh in on various matters.
Something I'd love more to see is men being able to exist.
The home of untold stories.
Welcome back to Pandits Night. Let's continue with our discussion. Just a reminder of who our guest is tonight. Tujibebe wa Kenya party leader, former Kiambu Governor William Kabogo is with us in studio. Let's get back to our discussion and talk of the race to 2022. We have seen Mheshimiwa leading politicians chest thump of Mount Kenya as a region. Raila Odinga says he's climbing the mountain. The Deputy President is on record saying anyone who wants to get to Mount Kenya should come through him. Is it so?
I am not going to go through the Deputy President to speak to the people of Kiambu or the people of Mount Kenya. That is far-fetched. And I will ask my friend, the Deputy President, kuda pole pole on this issue. You can't just go out there and tell us that you are the person or you are the kingpin. I saw my friend Dennis Itumbi put on Twitter yesterday that indeed the Deputy President is the kingpin. Mm-hmm. That talk is I want to say, I just want to say that the people of Mount Kenya know exactly what it is they want. If you assume that you have them in your pocket, you will have yourself to blame. Mm-hmm. I would prefer the attitude where you come to us and tell us that you would want us to vote for you as president because Kenya will move from where it is to the next level. And within that development, the region will develop and the people of the region will benefit in the following manner. Uh-huh. Sell to us your policy, sell to us your plan on how to improve the country. Central Kenya being part of the country. Mm-hmm. But you cannot tell us that, and I want to say again, the Katiba expects Kenyans to choose their leaders. Mm-hmm. So it would be wrong for anyone, for example, the person of the Deputy President, to come to us and tell us, I think this is the guy I want you to elect as governor or as women rep or any other seat for that matter. And I would imagine the same would happen. I would tell Raila Odinga the same thing. You can't come to us and tell us who you want as an MP. And that's why I'm saying, choose members of parliament from this party and you will never regret.
And we will come to that party.
Yes.
But let's still talk of the question of members, high-ranking politicians saying, if you want to get to Central, you come through them. Is the confidence of the Deputy President not coming from the fact that, one, his party won some seat from that region. He has serving members of parliament who are backing his presidential bid. He is receiving defections from Jubilee Party, inclusive of Waiguru, Waruguru. These are numbers he arguably politically
will
boost
off. What strength is there in defections? Probably some of these people are defecting because they will never be elected. And they think they will ride on the strength of the person of the DP. Those are shows that happen every time during elections.
Despite them saying they are listening to the ground?
This movement of people up and down in parties will continue until the last minute. This time probably will be a little bit different, because party hopping has been cut. So people won't be able to hop from one party to, and I want to tell Kenyans, remember that it's not going to be possible in this election to party hop. Once you go for nominations and you're thrown out one way or the other for one reason or the other, you won't be able to go to another party or to go to independence. So this is the time that one has to decide. Am I safe there? Will I be able to make it through there even if I have the votes, or will I be given a ticket because I am known? This issue of Mount Kenya attracting so much attention in terms of vote hunting is because of these numbers. It's because of these numbers. And if you sit there and think you are controlling us now, and you will control these numbers in August 2022, you will be in for a big surprise.
Mheshimiwa, let me rephrase my question. When current members of parliament, when current leaders are in support of, let's say, the deputy president and his UDA party, saying this is the party of the region, you don't believe, you're not buying that at best, is it?
I didn't say I'm not buying. I would say if he has 7 MPs, he has 7 votes. That's all I'm saying.
But the MPs
those people cannot go and speak. They cannot go and speak on behalf of the people in terms of who it is the people will elect. This is every man has a vote. So if the deputy president thinks he is strong because he has MPs, and I know that's not why he thinks. I know he's a sharp guy. He understands this thing. He needs Wanjiko and not the MP. Yes. But if those that are running there thinking they will ride on his popularity because he's a popular leader, they will be in for a root shock.
All right, we have talked of the DP and the region. Let's talk of Raila, who says he's climbing the mountain, metaphorically meaning that he's making inroads to that vote-rich region. There are claims, and this is largely in the political circles, of a political debt, one dating back to Kenya's independence, another as late as 2002, that Mount Kenya region needs to pay back. First, what are your thoughts in as far as politics of debt is concerned?
That payback thing to me is neither here nor there. That was that moment when Kenyatta was in incarceration, and these guys wanted to give us independence. Jaramogi Oginga Odinga said, no Kenyatta, no independence. We are aware of that. When Raila felt like things were not going well in 2002, October 14, he said, Kibaki tosha. Good. It served that moment. When the relationship of TNA and URP turned into a movement in 2013, Bonaruto supported President Kenyatta. Was in that meeting myself where we sat and discussed our union. It is at that place where they say President Kenyatta said yako kumi na yangu kumi. That was that moment. But I'll tell you this, and I'll say this again without fear of contradiction. President Kenyatta has only one vote. He has one vote only. Even if he were to say today, I want you people to support William Ruto because I said so, he can only persuade us. He will not be able to come and tell us by force. Because again, what does the Katiba say? We will go to the ballot and vote. And every vote counts. So these relationships of debt is very backward, so to speak. These things have happened in the world over. In America, where one guy jumps from one party and supports the other, and they go to elections. These debts are never carried forward. Even if we do a relationship with anyone today, I will tell you 100% that debt may never be paid. So it's a debt that exists only in that situation. That's my thinking.
All right, and Mheshimiwa, given that we have talked of Raila and Ruto,
Yes.
there are those who equally in politics point as though the 2022 race is a two-horse race.
Well,
in fact, let me read a question
I
from...
had declared my candidacy for president.
Let me read. James from Kisumu is asking, does he think that the 2022 election is a two-horse race?
Well, they say that, I declared I would want to be president. And that I would make a very good president, I think. And I would do much better than some of these guys. But they say, no, unakuja too late. No, this is already a decided race. It's between William Ruto and Raila Odinga. It may appear so today. It may appear so today. But I'll tell you, 8 months in an election year is a very long time in politics. As I said, Kibaki Tosha was done, I think, October 14 of 2002, just 2 months before elections. Something may happen and the horses disappear. It's a possibility. But as we sit today, yes, I do not disagree that those are the front runners.
But as you say, that race is still open.
It's still very open. It is still open. It is also possible that I still may be a candidate. You never know. I may convince Kenyans that this is the better way. This is the better plan. And it's true. It may be the better plan. We have tried these guys. I want to say here on national TV, without fear, that all these guys who want to be president have been ministers, even vice presidents. You name them. Kalonzo Musyoka, 30 years, 5 years vice president. Madam Mudavadi has been minister, local government, minister something, finance, DPM, deputy prime minister, vice president. William Ruto, minister, education minister, agriculture, deputy president. What is it that they did while in those ministries that would tell Kenyans, if we gave him the presidency, this is what he would do as he did in that? When will we do their scorecards? You see, right now, the discussion is in Jubilee. We have gotten into a situation where we want to make the president is bad. Now the good guy is the deputy president. Who separated them? As we speak today, who is the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya? It is a Jubilee government. If they have done anything good, they have done it together. If they have failed together. And this is a gimmick of separating them so that one may look clean, one may look dirty. We shall hold them squarely responsible for the ills that have happened in Kenya. For example, if we are to ask them about Gikomba, when are these fires going to end? People are crying. They've borrowed money. They've lost money. This government should be able to do something. And when I say this government, it is a government of Jubilee, led by the president himself and deputized by William Ruto himself.
All right.
So really, these are shenanigans, as I would call them, that are brought about during the years of election to confuse the masses. Do you understand? When is it we'll fill the cards of these guys? Same monkeys, same forest, and expect different results.
Is it not the case, Mheshimiwa, that question can be refreshed? You are a former governor yourself. We will come to that. But interesting. I'll give you a chance.
I hate the word former because I was the first one.
It will
never change.
There is the current governor.
When you start saying former, when we do 10 elections, you will start saying former 1, former 2, former 3. You call them the first, the second, the third. Like today, the 45th president of the United States. Why are you referring to the 5th? It's because you don't want to say former president.
He is still a former president.
So
Nonetheless, a tweet you tweeted yesterday in part reads, and I quote, "At the same time sought permission from the people of Ruiru to speak on their behalf."
Yes.
Permission granted. Yes. Permission granted to speak on behalf of the people of Ruiru, on behalf of Kiambu as a county, or
no.
The people of Ruiru as Kenyans?
I want you to get me right here. We've been speaking amongst ourselves as leaders of the mountain. And we get to a place and you ask, what mandate did you have? Okay, you were in office, you're not in office now. So when I got a chance to speak to the people of Ruiru, I said, I've been attending all these meetings. and I continue speaking, do you listen to what I say? Do I make sense in the things that I'm saying? Do you want me to continue speaking on your behalf? Can you show me by hand so that I have authority in my heart? I was not seeking authority to go and give a certificate or a card to anyone. I want to be convinced that I am speaking on behalf of these people. So that when we have these meetings about the region, I may say, and this I did not ask only from Ruiru. This was just yesterday. I have another meeting, I think a month ago. I was in Moranga and I asked people, do you listen to me? Would you want me to pursue the things that I say on radio? So that you feel, are you resonating? Are you speaking what the people want spoken out there? And that's the mandate that I asked the people. And unanimously they said, yes, speak on our behalf. We believe you, we speak on our behalf.
And the table at which you will speak on their behalf is the ongoing unity talks?
Yes, ongoing unity talks. When you want to speak about Mount Kenya, I have space to speak because I am given that mandate by the people. Not through the ballot, but through acclamation in a very big forum.
And given the specificity of that tweet, one would have politically read the lines as though you still want to make a stab again in Kiambu politics.
My friend, it is free. It's available.
Do you intend to? It's free. It's available.
I do not know.
You don't?
Yes. I refuse to answer that question because it will make some people very unhappy. It will make some people rejoice if I say I'm not running. So let them keep guessing, but time will come. But I do not shy away to say if I was still in office, Kiambu would not be what it is today. And that's why you hear them saying, Kabogo.
All right,
which is a national slogan now.
And I was actually told by my
Swahili afadhali.
I was actually told by my editor Mashari Agashuru earlier on of Kafogo,
yes,
which means afadhali Kafogo. You say you are not answering the question of whether you are making a comeback in Kiambu politics, but is it something you are thinking of?
It is one of the things that cross my mind every now and then, if I would want to go and finish my agenda. Although to take Kiambu where it ought to be, it may take a little longer than one would imagine because of the mess it is in. And I speak that without fear of contradiction because you hear it every day.
All right.
There are certain things we had put in place that probably if they had continued to be in place another 5 years, the joblessness in Kiambu would be slightly a problem of the past. But I hate to speak Kiambu. I moved on.
But it's not a closed door. It's still an option on the table, isn't it?
I have options.
Fair enough.
I could go for the presidency. I could go back to Kiambu. I could give a stab to Nairobi. I could opt not to run. For me, politics is a hobby, so to speak. It is service. The leadership to give service, not to go and eat, because that is the difference between our African, unfortunately, more so African politics than the rest of the world. And that's why our elections are so emotive. Do you believe that recently, there was an election in Germany? You didn't hear it. Many people don't even know it. You will go to Britain in Park Lane Avenue, and as you have coffee, Tony Blair rides in on a bike. And one has just lost elections, and there are no emotions at all. But why do we have emotions here? It is because we are competing to go and eat. When you stop me from getting to the presidency, you're stopping me and my small circle to go and make wealth by leadership. So it is competition to who is going to eat. It is not competition to who is going to lead.
All right.
If it was just leadership and you lose, you go and do something else. But here, this is all you want. You want to become... Why is it that people get into office and 3 years later, they have gotten so much wealth that one cannot explain? How do you become a governor year one, and the end of year two, you have 3 buildings in Nairobi fully paid for? You understand what I'm trying to say? How do you explain this wealth? What is it that you have learned at the age of 55 that you could not do from age 20 to to 55. You've just done it in 2 years when you're in office. And this is why we should be using the Declaration of Wealth forms that we are supposed to fill. Because if you had filled those forms before you went into office, you would never be able to explain how you got the rest of the wealth that you got while in office.
Fair enough, and corruption has been...
But you know, I will tell these guys who participate in these things that it will catch up with you. I know people who are serving sentences now. You remember in America a few years ago, I think 4 years ago, a 65-year-old man was jailed for 55 years for things he did 45 years ago. So if you sit smart, you know, there is no time limit in criminal justice. So remember that it will come and follow you one time.
All right, let's go through some comments, Mheshimiwa. Mheshimiwa keeps talking of one person, one vote. Remind him that when it comes to opinion shapers, that does not apply. Uhuru's yangu kumi na Ruto's kumi was a direct endorsement. A question I earlier asked you, but nonetheless, it was very direct, isn't it? Nimalize kumi yangu, huyu achukue. So
I hope that that fellow who says that is going to put his vote for William Ruto because he thinks that Uhuru said he's 10 and he gave the other 10 to... Uhuru had no 10 to give to anyone. If you promise, even if William Ruto or Raila Odinga for that matter became president today, because he has said, I am going to go with Kabogo as his deputy or so and it's now my 10 and deputy's 10. That is just political talk of that moment. All right. Then you will render the constitution useless because the constitution says every 5 years we will go back to the people. Kila makatano tutarudi kwa Mkenya kutafuta idhini yake ili tuongoze kwa nafasi yao. That is our cardinal rule in the constitution. So where does it say if the president endorses? These endorsements have been there since independence. And as a matter of fact, they don't work. They don't work. I would hate to be endorsed today by the president because I'll become a presidential project. You understand? So really, and William Ruto has said himself, I don't want to speak for him, that he's not doing this because of the yangu kumi, yako kumi. I told him 4 years ago, we will not vote for you because you are told you will be voted for by us. We will vote for you if you convince us that you are the right candidate. All right, let's get fair enough, Mheshimiwa. This shenanigans of 10 years, Mimi, 10 years where we have no space in our democracy, have no space in our constitution. Fair enough, and because of the interest of time, let me sample other views. Oya Sami at Oya Sami says on Twitter, Kabogo knows it's two-horse race. Let him tell us on whose hand is he safe? I'll be safe in someone who takes Kenya to the next level of being a state of hopelessness for the young people in terms of employment, a state of hopelessness of the business community because of harsh business conditions, a state of taking Kenya to the middle class economy, making Kenya a working nation and not making Kenya a hopeless nation. If you can come and convince me that you are the right person to be able to do those things, then I will support you. But I will not support you blindly simply because somebody else said I should support you. This is a situation we are in this country. We need to stop for 1 minute and think, where is this country going? All right. Where are these people taking this country? You know, and we may just decide to hell with these people. Let's just find some new blood. You know, I will not be surprised in December you find Kenyans saying, tumetosheka na hii watu. Wacha tujaribu watu wapya. And that you know, fresh is fresh. All right, still on Twitter, at King Kuria says, ask Kabogo what is the purpose of having more than 10 parties in Mount Kenya? Do they represent the common man, or these leaders are just doing business with these parties for their personal gain? I would want to answer on my part because I cannot answer for the other parties. We formed this party as a party to take, as a refuge place for people who never get their fair right I have been a guy who has suffered most in terms of nominations. I have done 5 elections and therefore 10 because I have done nominations, elections, very, very competitive. And then again, the final, very, very competitive. In times, I have been properly nominated but never given a ticket. This is the party that will give popular candidates their tickets. There are no negotiations about, even if my son or my brother wanted to be an MCA, they will not get an automatic ticket if there is somebody else who is more popular. And that is why we started. That's the motto of this party. So it's a refuge for people who feel scared about being bulldozed by party owners. This party belongs to Kenyans, and it is not a Kikuyu party. It is not a party for Central Kenya. Ni Tujibebe wa Kenya party. And let people not start talking about many parties. It didn't start today. When multi-party came, we had 37 parties that year. Today we have, I think, 75, 7 registered this year. During the last elections, I think there were 48 parties. These questions are never raised. But when it's about Mount Kenya, people start getting worried. If you're not from Mount Kenya, don't worry about parties in Mount Kenya.
Fair enough. Finally,
this party is not a Mount Kenya party.
Fair enough. And
it's
finally, at Beatrice on Twitter asks, Kabogo wants to be the president, and the last time Raila was in Kiambu, Kabogo said he will support Raila.
Well, that person didn't listen to me. He didn't hear what I said. I met Raila and I told him, you are here for vote hunting. If you want these votes of Mount Kenya, you need to be able to find these votes by working for the people of Mount Kenya. I didn't say that you will be president. I only have 1 vote. And I told him, if you want my vote personally, I'll give it to you. That's it. That's all I can promise you. I cannot promise you all the other votes because, like you said in that question, you said you met. Let me tell you, I am from Ruiru. I'm a leader there. Mimi ni mzee wa hiyo boma. If I know tomorrow President Kenyatta is coming there and I'm around, I will go there. If I know William Ruto is coming tomorrow, I will go there. And if you want my support, I will ask you to convince me. If you want me to campaign for you, give me the reasons of why you think our votes as a mountain will come to you.
And Mheshimiwa, given
I always avoid talking about give us this as Mount Kenya. I'm saying take Kenya, Mount Kenya amongst them to the next level.
And given that you have insisted of one wanting to convince the region, come convince me, is there any among the political class as of now who is winning the heart of your party?
I am convinced today that I'm the best. But they don't put me in the class of the first 2 horses. So I'm almost thinking, am I still the best? You know, I'm thinking about whether I'm still the best because nobody is saying I'm the best. But one day, inshallah, probably it will happen. But for now, it is those 2 horses. And I'm telling the people of Mount Kenya, wewe ndio mrembo. Just take your time. Watch this game. Let Mheshimiwa Raila go there to his corner and prepare his team and come and tell us, this is our plan for Kenya. And within that plan of Kenya, this is our plan for Mount Kenya. This is the support we would want to legislate on in terms of the needs of the people of Mount Kenya and the people of Kenya in general. Let Mheshimiwa Ruto do the same in the other corner. And then here, if we are together, we will evaluate and say, I think Kenya and Mount Kenya will be better in the leadership of this man. And this is why we need to sit together. But these guys who want votes, they know that this large vote, if it's put together, it will be a problem for them. Because you cannot form government without them if they are together.
And finally, these near 10 parties, folding them, I suppose then is not an option.
For me, it's not an option to fold this party. They can fold the others. This will not be folded.
All right, Mheshimiwa, that is where we will have to end this interview. Once again, thank you for your time tonight on TV47. We were speaking to former Kiambu governor, the first he has insisted on, and Tujibebe wa Kenya party leader, William Kabogo. That's where we'll have to end tonight's edition of Pandits Night. I am Abubakar Abdullahi. On behalf of the entire team that made this production possible, bye for now. Tonight of all nights, good night. God bless.
We value your feedback. If you would like to send questions, comments, or suggestions for your favorite TV47 shows, call us on telephone number 0740-047-047 or email us at maoni@tv47.co.ke. You can also write to us on PO Box 2358/00621, Nairobi. You can also drop your complaint or feedback at our offices located at number 10 Ojiji Close off Ojiji Road, Parklands,